You know that feeling when you're dealing with someone who genuinely believes they are untouchable? Like the rules of basic decency, the laws of cause and effect, the simple reality that what goes around comes around, none of that applies to them. They walk through the life with this particular kind of swagger, this unearned confidence that they can do whatever they want, treat people however they please, and somehow just get away with it. And the wild thing is, for a while it looks like they are right. They manipulate, they lie, they use people up and throw them away, and nothing bad happens to them. They keep winning, keep succeeding, keep being the person who gets what they want, while everyone else is left holding the pieces. But here is where what I've noticed, what I've learned watching this play out more times than I can count. There comes a moment when someone who has pushed too far for too long finally meets reality. Yeah, not some mystical cosmic force discerning from the heavens. Something much more tangible. The moment when everything they've built on a foundation of lies and manipulation starts to crumble. They cannot stop it. They cannot stop it. There is this person in your life, or maybe there was someone who looked at your kindness and saw weakness, who looked at your patience and saw an opportunity, who looked at your love and decided it was something they could weaponize against you. The sheer audacity is breathtaking when you really sit with it. They genuinely believed you would never see through them, that you would always be there, always waiting, always giving them another chance they don't deserve or didn't deserve. Then something shifted inside you. Maybe it was gradual, maybe it was sudden, but at some point you saw them clearly for the first time. Not the version they wanted you to see, not the carefully constructed illusion, not the mask they'd been wearing since the day you met them. You saw the real person underneath, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You cannot. It's like staring at a photo for years and then meeting the person in real life. Everything is different, and you realize you've been looking at a lie this whole time. That's what happened. You finally saw who they were, and when you did, you made a choice. Maybe you walked away, maybe you set a boundary, maybe you just stopped playing their game. Stupid game. Whatever you did, it triggered something in them they absolutely didn't expect. Because people like this, people who operate from arrogance and entitlement, they are used to being in control. They are used to being the ones who call the shots, who decide how things go, who define reality for everyone around them. When someone slips out from under that control, it doesn't just make them angry. It makes them feel exposed in a way they have been desperately trying to avoid their entire lives. Desperately. And here is where it gets interesting. they don't just accept it. They double down. They try harder to control you, to hurt you, to prove they still have power over you. Maybe they spread rumors. Maybe they try to turn people against you. Maybe they do everything in their power to make your life more difficult. Because in their mind, they were supposed to win. In their mind. That's how their story always goes. But there is something they didn't account for. Something their arrogance completely blinded them to. When you treat people badly enough for long enough, when you accumulate enough toxic behavior, when you leave enough wreckage in your wake, there is a momentum that builds against you. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because actions have consequences built into the fabric of reality itself. Always. Treat people like they are disposable, and eventually you are the one who gets thrown away. Lie enough times, and eventually no one believes a word you say. Hurt enough people, and eventually there's no one left to protect you when you need it most. This person, the one who was so sure they were untouchable, so certain they'd never face consequences for what they did to you, and everyone else, actually. They are about to experience something they never expected. And it's not subtle. It's the kind of thing where everything they built, everything they thought was solid and secure, starts crumbling in ways they couldn't have predicted. Here's the part that's going to hurt most. They are going to be humiliated. They are going to be exposed. Everything they've been hiding is coming right now, right out into the open, and there is nothing they can do to stop it. You probably already know some version of this story. Maybe you're living through it right now. Maybe you're watching from a distance, seeing this person's life fall apart in slow motion, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. Because on one hand, there is relief, a sense that justice is finally being served. On the other, there is a part of you that remembers who they used to be, or who you thought they were. And it's hard. It's really hard to watch anyone fall that hard. But here is what I want you to understand. What's happening to them isn't your fault, and it isn't your responsibility. They made choices, thousands of choices, day after day. They led them here. They chose to treat you badly. They chose to hurt you, use you, take you for granted. They chose to be arrogant, to believe they were above it all, to refuse to change even when they had every opportunity. And now they are living with the consequences. On the outside, they looked confident, put together, like they had everything figured out. But underneath all of that, beneath the carefully constructed facade, there was nothing solid. No foundation, no real sense of self-worth, no genuine confidence, no authentic identity. Just layers of defense, mechanisms protecting a fragile ego that cannot handle the truth about who they really are. When someone like that is confronted with reality, when they are forced to see themselves without the mask, when they cannot hide behind their lies anymore, when people start to see through this performance, it's devastating. It's really devastating. It's not just losing face, it's the collapse of an entire identity. The moment they realize everything they believed about themselves was just a story they'd been telling, and once that story falls apart, they don't know who they are anymore. That's ego death. Not in some dramatic mystical sense, but in the real, painful human sense. The moment when someone who has spent their entire life protecting a certain image is forced to confront the truth, and the truth is often ugly. The truth is they are not as special as they thought. They are not invisible. They made real mistakes, and those mistakes have consequences they can no longer avoid. This person is going through that right now. Everything they built is falling apart. The reputation they worked so hard to protect is crumbling. The people they used are finally speaking up. The truth they tried so desperately to hide is coming out piece by painful piece. I'm not talking about metaphorical consequences, real, tangible things, like financial problems that appear out of nowhere, relationships that suddenly implode, health issues that will not go away, the kind of problems that fundamentally change everything. And the worst part for them, they saw it coming. They were warned, not in some dramatic way, but in all the little ways that life tries to tell you when you're heading in the whole direction. People tried to tell them. You probably tried to tell them yourself. You pointed out what they were doing. You asked them to change. You gave them chance after chance after chance to make things right. Every time they waved it away, every time they convinced themselves they'd be the exception, every time they assumed they'd expect the consequences everyone else has to face. But that's not how it works. You cannot keep treating people badly and expect to be exempt from the fallout. Eventually, the bill comes due. For this person, the bill is coming due right now, all at once. And the cost is higher than they ever imagined. I know that there is a part of you that still cares. A part of you, a part that remembers who they were before everything got so complicated. A part that wants to believe they could still change. And maybe they can. Maybe this is the wake-up call they needed. But whether they do or they do not, whether they finally start doing the hard work of becoming better or double down on their destructive patterns, that's not your concern anymore. That's not your burden to carry. Your concern, my beautiful soul, your only concern is taking care of yourself, building something real and good and true in your own life, surrounding yourself with people who actually see you, who actually value you, who don't need to tear you down to feel better about themselves. Because Because here's the thing, people like this never understand. The thing their arrogance completely blinds them to. They needed you way more than you ever needed them. They needed your kindness, your patience, your forgiveness. They needed you to keep being who you were so they could keep being who they were. When you finally stopped, when you finally said enough, it didn't just take something away from them. It exposed how empty they really are. This person, who seemed so strong, so confident, so untouchable, underneath all that bravado, there was nothing, just a scared, insecure person who couldn't stand being alone with themselves. Someone who built their entire identity on controlling others, on making others feel small so they could feel big. When that fell apart, when they couldn't control you anymore, it wasn't just about losing you. It was about losing themselves. And now they are facing all of that. Everything they tried to run from, everything they tried to hide, everything they convinced themselves they didn't need to deal with. It's all right now. It's all right there in front of them. And they cannot pretend anymore, cannot manipulate their way out, cannot lie their way through, cannot charm anyone into making it go away. This is the moment of truth. And the truth is brutal. Yeah, real brutal. You might be wondering what happened to them. Heard rumors, seen pieces of it, heard through the grapevine about how things have been going downhill. And maybe you're curious, want the whole story, want to know just how bad it's gotten. But that kind of curiosity is a trap. It's a way of staying connected to someone who should have been left in the past. And they don't deserve that space, not anymore. What matters is the pattern, the lesson, the universal truth that you cannot treat people badly and expect to thrive. You cannot build your life on a foundation of lies and manipulation and expect it to stand. You cannot. You cannot spend your days tearing others down and expect to stay standing yourself. What's happening to them right now is the natural result of all those choices. Every unkind word, every manipulative act, every time they chose themselves over someone else without regard for the harm they were causing. It all adds up, it all accumulates. Eventually, it catches up. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because the world has a way of reflecting back what they put out, what we put out. But put out cruelty and cruelty comes back. Put out contempt and contempt finds its way to your doorstep. Put out lies and eventually you are drowning in them. There is a particular poison that comes from being around someone like this. I want to say that. Subtle at first. You don't even notice it happening. But over time, it seeps into everything. Makes you question yourself, doubt your own perceptions. Think maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are being unreasonable. Maybe you need to try harder. That's the whole game, actually. Yeah, that's the whole game. Keep you confused, keep you off balance, so you never have the clarity to see what they are really doing. But you see it now. You see the whole picture. And the relief that comes with that clarity is immense. The moment you finally understand it wasn't you. It was never you. It was always them. All the criticism, all the subtle put-downs, all the ways they made you feel small and inadequate, that was never about you. It was a projection of their own insecurity, their own fear, their own emptiness. And now, finally, others are starting to see it too. The truth is coming out. The mask is slipping. The carefully constructed image is falling apart. And suddenly people who believed their lies, who took their side, who thought you were the problem, they are starting to see the real story. They are understanding now what you went through. They are realizing everything you said was true all along. I know that feels good. I know there is a part of you that wants to say, I told you so, wants to watch them squirm, wants to see them get what's coming. That's valid. That's human. You are allowed to feel that way. But the satisfaction isn't the point. The point is you are free. The point is you've moved on. The point is you've built something real in your own life, something that doesn't depend on this person getting their comeuppance. Whether they faced consequences or not, whether karma came for them or not, you would still be okay. You would still be moving forward. That's the real victory. Not watching them fall, not seeing them suffer, but knowing deep in your bones that you were never dependent on them. You never needed their approval, their validation, their love. You were always enough on your own. You just had to realize it. This person thought they had all the power, thought they could hurt you, control you, keep you small, thought you'd always be there, always available, always willing to give them another chance. That was the arrogance, the assumption you would always love them, always forgive them, always make their life easier. But you proved them wrong. You proved you have boundaries. You proved you have dignity. You prove you will not accept less than you deserve, will not stay in a situation that's not good for you just because you are afraid of being alone or afraid of change. And now they are experiencing what happens when you lose someone who actually cared about you. When you burn down every bridge, push away everyone who ever loved you, treat people so badly they finally leave, you end up alone. For some who build their entire identity on other people's perception of them, being alone is the worst possible thing for them. Yeah, the thing they feared most. And now it's happening. The people who used to surround them, the ones who bought into the act, who thought they were so impressive and successful, they are drifting away. seeing the cracks, hearing the stories, realizing they do not want to be associated with someone who treats people this way. No one wants to be the next person on the list. So they are pulling back, choosing not to be the part of whatever is happening in this person's life right now. That's the real isolation. Not just losing you, but losing everyone. The entire network of people who used to prop up their self-esteem and help them pretend they were someone they were not. When that support system collapses, when the people who enabled their behavior start to wake up and walk away, there is nothing left. Just the ugly truth of who they really are, staring back at them in the mirror. There is a reason the word arrogance keeps coming up. Because that's really what this is about. The belief that you are above it all, that consequences do not apply to you, that you can treat people however you want and escape any repercussions. The arrogance that thinks you will never be found out, that the lies will never catch up, that the mask will never slip. Maybe for a while that arrogance is rewarded. Yeah, maybe for a while you get away with it. Maybe the people you hurt are too scared or too confused or too in love to do anything about it. Maybe you keep winning, keep succeeding, keep getting what you want. But eventually, the bill comes due. It always does. And when it does, it's not subtle. It's the full weight of everything you've done crashing down all at once. This person is experiencing that right now. The full weight, the complete collapse, the humbling that was always inevitable. Not just that they got caught, not just that they are facing consequences. It's that they didn't see it coming. They never saw it coming. Because they were too arrogant to believe consequences applied to them. And that's the real tragedy. Yeah. Not that they are suffering. Suffering is sometimes the only way to learn. The tragedy is that they had so many chances to change, so many opportunities to do the right thing, so many moments when they could have chosen differently. Every single time they chose arrogance, they chose their ego. They chose to believe they were special, exempt, untouchable, until they were not. Now there is no one to blame but themselves. Cannot say they were not warned, can say they didn't know better, can say they didn't have every opportunity to change course. They did. They just chose not to. They chose to keep hurting you, keep using people, keep pretending they were above it all. Now they are paying the price. You, my beautiful soul, on the other hand, are moving forward, building something real, surrounding yourself with people who actually see you, learning to trust yourself again, believe in your own judgment. Know you deserve better than what you accepted. You chose growth, you chose learning, you chose to become a better version of yourself. They chose to stay stuck, to keep playing the same games, to keep hurting people, and pretending it didn't matter. The justice coming for them is not punishment. It's the natural result of all those choices, the inevitable outcome of a life built on lies and manipulation, such as it hurts to watch, you have to let it happen. This is the only way they will ever learn. This is the only way they will ever become something more than the hollow, arrogant person they have been for so long. Maybe they will finally start doing the work, finally look in the mirror and see the truth, finally become the person they always pretended to be. Or maybe they will not. Maybe they will stay stuck, keep making excuses, keep blaming everyone else. If that happens, the consequences will keep coming, keep getting worse, keep eating away at whatever this person has left until there is nothing but the truth. But the truth will be all they have. But you are already free. You already out, already built something new. Whatever happens to them, however brutal the consequences, it doesn't affect you anymore. You are not tangled up in their mess. You are not responsible for their choices. You are not stuck cleaning up their messes. You are on the other side, looking back, grateful you got out when you did, grateful you are not in that situation anymore. That's the real victory. Not watching them fall, not feeling vindicated. It's knowing you are out, you are free. You chose yourself, chose your own well-being, chose to walk away from someone who was never going to be good for you. That took courage. That took strength. That took something this arrogant, entitled person will never understand. But you understand. And that understanding is everything. It's the difference between being stuck in the past and building a future. Between being defined by whatever, what happened to you and defining yourself by who you've becoming. Between staying small and finally stepping into your power. You have stepped into your power, claimed your life, built something real. Whatever happens to them, whatever karma comes knocking, however brutal the consequences, none of that matters anymore because you are already somewhere else, moving forward, becoming the person you were always meant to be. And they never saw it coming, never saw you leaving, never saw you thriving, never saw you becoming everything they couldn't be. Because they were too busy. Yeah, they were too busy admiring their own reflection, too busy believing their own lies to notice you were outgrowing them, moving past them, becoming someone they could never reach. That's the real karma. Not the collapse, not the consequences, not the humbling. That's just the noise. The real karma is you living your best life. The real karma is you thriving. The real karma is you becoming everything you were meant to be while they are still stuck, still playing the same games, still pretending they are something they are not. That's the ultimate victory. And it's yours completely, beautifully, undeniably yours.